All right, good morning, everyone. Today is AutoCAD versus Autodesk software, when to transition. My name is Ryan Wunderlich, and our host is Lori Elliott. So we're going to be talking about when to transition and if it's right. So just a little bit about me for those of you who haven't been on my previous webinars. My name is Ryan Wunderlich. I have 38 years, a little more than 38 years experience in AutoCAD across multiple industry segments. I'm currently the support team manager for the AEC team, which means that I'm the team that handles Revit, Plant 3D, MEP, architecture, Civil 3D, Map 3D, InfraWorks, etc. So I do teach as a certified instructor. I've had over 15 years in CAD management, 8 years cruise ship building, 5 years support of civil survey, landscape architecture. I've worked in mechanical design, electromechanical, printed circuit board and schematics, architectural design, acoustic design, as well as in doing equipment layouts in industrial spaces. As I jokingly tell people, the only two fields I haven't experienced is aerospace and automotive, but chances are I've touched something you do currently. I do have a bachelor's in business management and a master's in organizational management. So today we're going to just talk, we've got an easy agenda today. We're going to identify key differences, and it's just a brief glance, and we're going to talk about transitioning and changes to workflow, and it's just an overview. I want to be very clear, this is not salesy at all. This is just understanding if you are in a process where you think you want to change, this is where you need to start. I'm going to do my recap of what webinars I did for 2024 and then live Q&A. So any AutoCAD LT questions you have, we can go live. I can answer them. If it's not something I can answer quickly, I will put that on the list, and you might have a webinar dedicated to your topic or thought process next year. So let's talk about identifying key differences. So AutoCAD LT is primarily 2D and has some limitations and functions. It is available for the Mac platform. AutoCAD is fully 3D capable and has full functionality, i.e. Express tools, and it is available for the Mac, again, with some limitations. And then we start talking about verticals that are not available for the Mac platform, but we do talk about verticals. So AutoCAD architecture does draw full 3D objects, includes content for architecture-specific based operations like doors, windows, ceiling grids, floors, etc. AutoCAD MEP, it builds on top of the AutoCAD architecture platform and adds the ability to add electrical runs, piping, which is more or less inside plumbing, and HVAC ducting, and allows creation of those specific items. AutoCAD Map 3D now gives you access to some tools for creating topography and correctly geolocating a site. Also adds the ability to connect to ArcGIS or other mapping-oriented systems like ArcGIS, Esri, a multitude of those kinds of things. Moving on, more verticals we can talk about. Again, these are not available for the Mac. We have AutoCAD Plant 3D, allows full 3D objects to be created, gives the ability to create P&IDs or process and instrumentation diagrams, and more production plant-specific type operations. AutoCAD Electrical, which is specifically designed for schematics and panel layouts, as well as electrical specific drafting operations. AutoCAD Mechanical, which takes the core of the AutoCAD of AutoCAD 3D and now gives you advanced mechanical design tools and provides a framework for parametric modeling. And that framework is very important to understand, and we'll get to that in a moment. And then we talk about Civil 3D, which is built on top of Map 3D and provides full civil engineering and surveyor functions and engineer full ground sites and surfaces. Now we can get into some of the more advanced products. Again, most of these are not available for the Mac. Those that are, I will let you know. So Revit takes AutoCAD architecture to the next level by truly modeling the building, also gives you access to twin motion. So Revit includes options for architecture, MEP, and building structural design while keeping it all in a single model, and allows better collaboration across multiple models. Inventor is the next stepping stone up from AutoCAD Mechanical by giving a true fully parametric modeler and a full featured 3D design for a part, like assembly of parts and other features. And it does have other features like FEA or finite element analysis and other bits and pieces that come with Inventor that are above what AutoCAD can currently do, and even AutoCAD Mechanical. If you are an MEP designer, fabrication MEP now takes your MEP design from either AutoCAD MEP or the MEP portion of Revit and allows you to build shop drawings for your ducting and other MEP features. And then we get into HSM, which is the high-speed manufacturing, which gives advanced functionality for taking parts and creating CNC files for your CNC or computer-aided manufacturing devices. Fusion, which is a web-based version of Inventor. So it's more like a web-based version of Inventor. It's not exactly Inventor in the web, but it has a lot of the similar capabilities. Those of you who do a lot of 3D printing, Fusion is a great place to get started. 3ds Max is a full-featured rendering software for photorealistic images, and then you can go to the final step, which is Maya, which both is supported on Mac and Linux, and it's full-featured animation software. So you can actually create full animations if that's where you need to go. So those are all the key differences. But what we're really going to be focusing on here is transitioning and change to workflows. So really this comes down to an understanding of what you do today. The first question you need to ask yourself is, do you need to change? And the questions you need to ask yourself is, if you think you need to change, are you losing out bids? Are you losing out jobs? Are you spending extra time reworking drawings because AutoCAD is not as efficient as some of the verticals when it comes to multiple revisions or large scale revisions? Next question is, does your business support a change? I.e., does the management that you work with, or does your CEO, CIO, CFO, upper management, do they all support making that change? Do your people support a change? I.e., if you have a lot of gray beards like myself, you're going to find out that we tend to be resistant to change. I am not, but some people are very resistant to change. And the question is, are those people willing to support a change? And then, does your hardware currently support change? If you're running AutoCAD fine today, and you're not losing out on jobs, you have a very efficient workflow, there's no sense in changing to something else unless the business supports it and you have other processes that might benefit from that change. So when we talk about a change in software, now we have to start looking at the impacts. So productivity, there will always be a loss during a changeover of software. Okay, I'm just going to be upfront with you. Question is, can you absorb that loss? So there will be a loss of productivity. The ROI, which is return on investment before and after, will it make you more efficient after the change? I.e., if what you're doing today takes 10 hours of work to design a part, would a change of your workflow and your software help you get that part done faster? I'm going to look at it from a mechanical perspective. If it takes me 10 hours to design a part in basic AutoCAD, could I design that part faster using parametric modeling and Inventor? If I can design that part faster, i.e., let's say 8 hours, is that 2-hour time savings worth it down the road? Hardware. If your hardware doesn't support it currently, now you're looking at new machine costs. Does your current hardware support the new software? Right? How many of you have decided that you're going to upgrade to the newest version and find out that you now need to buy a new machine because as each newer version of AutoCAD comes out, or as each new version of software comes out, you find out that the minimum requirements keep growing slightly every release, and then you end up in a scenario where your machine now needs to be replaced. And software. So if you don't already have an AEC collection and you want to move up to Revit, now you have to buy new software. So upgrading to a vertical may incur additional renewal costs depending on what you have currently today. And other costs like training, you must factor in the cost of training, and this goes back to that loss of productivity. So you're going to lose those people while they're training. You're going to lose time, which is loss of productivity. You're also going to have some other losses along the way, i.e., your first couple of projects are going to take longer as you're navigating that new workflow, things like that. So those are all the impacts you have to understand before you go down. This is all part of that ROI piece, but understanding that these are the pieces you need to look at before you start down that path is things you need to look at. So now we talk about the workflow impacts. Does your current workflow support a software change? i.e., can you pull one piece of software out, put a different piece in, and keep going with your current workflow, or do you now need to modify it? If you do need to modify it, what modifications would need to occur to support it? Do you have custom programming or add-ons, and what would be the impact of losing those? Right. So a good example of this is that somebody here wanted to move to Revit from AutoCAD architecture, right? So as part of all of these workflows, there's a lot of setup involved before you can just move to Revit. So we had to create new families, i.e., they act like AutoCAD blocks, but they're families, so they're hosted on something. They have specific parameters and properties, things like that. We have to make a new template because the Revit template is different from the AutoCAD template. Understand that in Revit, you can't fake data easily to get it out the door. We are all guilty of drawing something in to fake it till we make it, get the deliverable out the door, and come back and say, we're going to fix this one when it comes back. We're all guilty of that in AutoCAD because we can fake it. Can't do that in Revit. And the final thing is understanding that the first submittal will take longer in Revit, but revisions take far less time. So it moves out that first submittal date and then starts having an impact on all future revision dates, i.e., if your first submittal date is in 6 weeks, and then each time there's a change, so you go to 50% submittal, 60%, 70, 80, 90, whatever, those incremental changes between revisions are much, much faster because of how Revit works. So if I just simply go in and move something in Revit, all of my sheets are updated, all of the ancillary information is updated. If I have rooms, room call outs, things like that, all of those things update. My schedules update, everything updates as I'm going through this with Revit. Whereas in AutoCAD architecture, now there's all the fiddly bits, like you need to go back in and do things, like you need to go back in and change room tags, and you might need to go back in and change things. Revit's more intelligent on that side, so that's one of those things that Revit makes those revisions much, much faster. So now that you're armed with all that data, first question you should ask yourself, do I need to change? And if the answer is no, we're okay, don't change. That's the easiest question. If you are comfortable with what you do today and you guys are efficient enough with what you're doing, there is no sense in making that change. But if you see that there could be potential to increase return on investment or get better, get more jobs, be included in more bids because now you've moved up, things like that, that starts the question of, should I change? If you think you should be changing, then you need to ask, can I absorb the cost of the change, i.e. all of those other productivity losses, things like that? And will my people support and embrace the change? Again, this is your people and this is your management. Sometimes management may push down that they want to run a change and your people are really not wanting to make a change. And so those are the things you need to encapsulate and determine who is going to be my champions, who are the people that I want to include in making this change first, get them excited. If I can get them excited, they can help push the other people to be excited. And then always run a pilot project. It's minimal effort to see if it is truly better. So with your pilot project, this is going to be one project that you're going to take on under the new software with a core group of people. You're going to locate your pitfalls, i.e. anything that's in your workflow, missing items, or other things you didn't know or didn't realize before you started down this. You're going to create your workarounds for the missing items. You get the job out the door, and then you're going to go back and fix, update the standards, process, and workflows as these issues occur, and then get feedback from the users to improve the transition going forward. Now, I have a very good example of this. I was taking an entire office, actually 6 offices, and we were converting them from Land Desktop to Civil 3D. We started that process. We started our pilot project, and we found out that the template was completely inadequate for the task. So I had to stop everything that I was working on, and I worked over the weekend to correct all of those things in the template and then that got that piece of it fixed. So if you understand that there are going to be in that pilot project is where you're going to find out what things you missed during your initial analysis. Once you get them fixed, you can move forward. And that's pretty much it. This is more or less where we start. Okay, and I'm going to say right now, AutoCAD is a great product by itself. If your workflow supports it and you guys are doing well, i.e. you built list routines, you have bought some third-party add-ons. A great example of that is if you are a surveyor and you have basic AutoCAD and you bought Carlson to go on top of it. If Carlson is doing the job that you need it to do on top of AutoCAD, don't change. If you are not losing out on work, if you are not losing out on things, keep it. This is not about you have to change. This is about understanding if you need to, what the things are that you need to look at before you embark on a change.